Okay, so I'm still in the middle of kind of working on the best of every Smash Ultimate move post-DLC revamp for my main channel, and not every old video on there is going to get that kind of treatment, but I figure since I've got a second channel, I can at least kind of comment on some of my older stuff and bring them up to speed more. So today I thought it would be interesting to look at the best change to every Smash Ultimate veteran, and this is the one that I made after the game had launched. I also did kind of a prediction one earlier on. We'll skip the intro. The main thing that you need to know is just that universal mechanics changes, like lower landing leg on aerials is probably the biggest one, don't count. Also, not a particularly fun thing to have to say, but just as a heads up, there are players in this video that I would not feature on my channel anymore, but I had to think about how to handle it, and ultimately I've decided it's my work. I'm not letting its legacy be ruined by other bad actors. That's kind of an ongoing stance. Okay, I've actually watched a little bit more of the intro now. Just as a heads up, my delivery is very different in this older content if you're not used to it. Personally, I think it sounds kind of cringy now, and these videos have not aged particularly well at all, but hey, if this is your first exposure to it, be prepared for a wild ride.
Mario's Super Jump Punch now kills reliably. In Smash 4, he was great at getting ladder combos, but they generally didn't kill unless you went for a Hail Mary with a giant processed ball of cheese that was turnaround rage up B.
Yeah, that was pretty stupid. Okay, Mario I actually think I got. So his actual best change, again, is the landing leg stuff, because that made his combo game just ridiculously, stupidly broken. Most of Mario's kit was actually kind of nerfed apart from specifically up B, and a lot of people kind of thought he was going to be at best like, you know, an okay character. Then people optimized him more, and as it turns out, he's probably even better than he was in Smash 4, where he was already a pretty silly character. So yeah, I think I got that one right just fine.
This new knockback kills far more consistently and makes ladder combos into death a staple of Mario's playstyle. DK
staple of Mario's playstyle, I don't know if that quite panned out to the same degree, but they're certainly a lot more reliable, and you see them a lot more often than you ever did in Smash 4. The knockback wasn't quite as crazy as some people were saying at first, though.
DK's kind of tricky to decide on since he lost Ding Dong in exchange for a ton of bonuses in other areas, but I've ultimately got to go with the insane speed boost to aerial hand slap. DK's main weakness was his disadvantage state.
Yeah, I think I got this one right too. The other major candidate I can think of is maybe Giant Punch not putting you into free fall anymore, but aerial hand slap, like converting it into grab, which can itself convert into a kill, and then just straight up converting it into up smash or a kill confirm later. Those are pretty important aspects of how DK plays, and the fact that you can B reverse is actually, again, really significant because of how much lower the ending lag is.
Similarly, Link is pretty hard to nail down, but I'm going with ditching his tether grab for one of the fastest normal grabs in the game. Yeah, his new bomb is obviously a major contender, but his old bombs were very solid in their own right.
Yeah, you know what? Link's bombs are a major contender. I think they were actually the winner here. Tether grabs in all previous Smash games have been a pretty toxic thing to have on your kit. They tend to make your character a lot worse. Ultimate, that's not necessarily the case. And also, while Link's old bombs were on paper a very good tool, the thing is he was actually pretty slow. He was not Toon Link, right? Like Toon Link bomb confirms were his bread and butter, whereas his new bomb is just insane.
Samus has multiple kill throws now, Jesus. Her game plan already heavily revolved around conditioning your opponent's shield, and this enhances it even more on a character who can already reliably fish for shield breaks.
So the shield break fishing itself actually got reduced over time because Ultimate kind of did a universal nerf on projectiles damaging shields. Even with that said, I still think, like, post-nerf, or sorry, I should say pre-nerf, this is still wrong. I think it was Charge Shot. New Charge Shot with just its ridiculous combo potential, ridiculous kill setups, mobility, control, all that kind of stuff. If she didn't have Charge Shot, she'd be basically unplayable, you know, if she had like a really mediocre neutral B. And with Charge Shot, I think she's at least a high tier character. Her kill throws are great, don't get me wrong, and honestly, it's kind of insane that a buff that significant didn't end up taking the top slot, but again, part of the reason they work so well is because her tether grab pressure combined with Charge Shot is part of what lets her get so many grabs.
Yoshi got a lot of love in Ultimate, but I'm going with forward tilt being turned into a combo starter. Taking a move that was rarely used and turning it into something that strong is pretty incredible.
Yeah, Yoshi wasn't like a really fundamentally changed character. I do think I'm right on this one, but it came at the expense of up tilt losing some of its granted combo potential. So it's tricky. I think I'm going to say it, but it's more just a lack of another good option to pick from as far as I'm aware. Look, I obviously don't know every character equally well. Yoshi is one of the ones I'm sort of less familiar with, but from what my knowledge of the game is, I think I got this one right, although it doesn't feel super satisfying to say.
Kirby Smash 4 dash attack was, pretty lame. Replacing it with the old melee variant and giving it the ability to kill was a smart move. Are you more scared of Kirby the Pink Beyblade or Kirby, Meteor of Death? Fox overall had most—
it hurts. Oh, that sucked. But yeah, I think I am going to go with dash attack. It's not the best dash attack in the game, but you actually see Kirby's use the thing now. I think Kirby's actual best change is the ability to do tilts out of a run, but again, that doesn't count.
Fox overall had most of his moves nerfed from Smash 4, but is still very good in Ultimate because of its engine. Still, he definitely had buffs thrown in, and I'm going with down tilt. It always pops up in this game and has gone from an extremely niche move to a
Yeah, so down tilt in Smash 4 was functionally basically useless. Smash Ultimate, you see it used as a combo starter, or often like a combo extender all the time now. I still think Fox is a really good character in Ultimate, for the record. That's kind of one of the more debated character placements in the meta right now, but for my money, he's still very strong. And he's won a big tournament. Not that I particularly care about results that much. I think at top level, the sample size is just way too small, but hey, if you do care about results, he's got them.
When Luigi first had his tether grab shown off, people were freaking out. Tether grabs are terrible. He can't even grab the ledge with it. Luigi is ruined. Fast forward though, and it turns out this thing is basically as safe as a normal grab, with way more range. And you can edge guard with it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I remember actually having a little bit of trouble trying to find a good clip of Luigi using his plunger to edge guard. Like, Elegant was basically the only Luigi really abusing that at the time, and he'd kind of just started. As time's gone on, that's only gotten more relevant. Now, the other thing I could say about Luigi is that his actual down throw itself got a lot better compared to Smash 4, I think, although that could also just be because of how much faster characters jump up now. But regardless, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go with his tether grab. If it's not the best grab in the game, it's only because it loses to Pac-Man. It's stupid good.
Pikachu's new Nair is gross. Drag downs into imagination.
Yep.
Falcon Dive is a way better move in Ultimate. Not only does it go further,
Falcon Dive
around to keep your horizontal distance, but it's also an incredibly strong killing command grab instead of the weak sauce Smash 4.
Raptor Boost, though. In Smash 4, it was just kind of a niche kill move. Now it's a ridiculously good combo starter. When did that move get buffed? Okay, so it was actually buffed a couple of times, but the really significant one was in 2020, which is after I made my video. So, okay, at the time that was fair. I think nowadays it goes to Raptor Boost.
There are a whole lot of things I could go with for Ness. His yo-yo dips below the ledge now, which is busted.
Hate that move. I hate that move so much.
Up air has drag down setups alongside its kill power, but it was already an incredible move in Smash 4.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go with PSI Magnet. It's got a freaking hitbox now and doesn't kill your aerial momentum, which totally changes the way you play him in neutral and makes his approach options way more ambiguous.
Yeah. Good call past me. The thing is, like, Ness's PSI Magnet has only kind of been discovered to be more broken as time's gone on.
Jigglypuff's Sing has been essentially useless for 20 years, but finally it does something in Ultimate. If you're hit by this at all, you're eating whatever Puff's feeling that day, including a rest.
At the time I made this video, that seems like a reasonable prediction because Sing was, comically useless and you were seeing all these clips of players throwing it out in tournaments. The thing is, though, nowadays the best Puff player basically doesn't go for Sings or rests at all. You might still be able to make a case for Sing just because it went from a useless to potentially really scary, but in terms of actual high-level competitive impact, I think Pound was more important. Pound is less laggy and does way more hit stun, so you can actually get really good combos off it now, and Pound is also one of the safer moves on Shield. It's a shield breaker, mobility tool. So in practice, you tend to see Puff mains use it a lot more than you would ever see them throw out Sing, which means that over the course of a match, it tends to be more impactful.
Peach is amazing, possibly even the best character in the game, and a lot of the reason for this comes from general landing leg improvements giving her a massive combo game, but one change we can really lock down is their turn-ups. They're faster to pull, faster to throw, do more damage, have more priority, their RNG is crazy. They've always been a good...
Yeah, I think this one's panned out pretty well. Turn-ups, ever since Melee, right? She's used her vegetables all the time, but in Ultimate in particular, they're an insane zoning tool.
Bowser's another character who's overall way better simply because of Ultimate's mechanics, so as a pure character buff, let's go with down smash. This move basically just didn't exist in other Smash games. You were always going to use Whirling Fortress instead, but in Ultimate, it's legitimately one of the best down smashes in the game, being fast, long-ranged, ridiculously powerful, and even having armor for some reason.
So... again, at the time, this was fair. You saw Bowser's use down smash a lot. Nowadays, you basically never see them use it anyways. As a two-frame option, it's basically been completely usurped by forward tilt. For ambiguous situations, you still tend to see them go back to Whirling Fortress. I think I wrote Flying Slam off at the time just because it didn't have that cool auto-cancel property from Smash 4 anymore, but it still would be a reasonable candidate, but I'm gonna go with Fire Breath on this one. That's one that actually gets pulled out all the time in tournament settings now, and it does so much damage, it's so safe. Yeah, I thought I remembered Tearzu arguing with me about this. Yeah, he says Neutral B does like 50 damage if he catches you. you don't actually tend to see the 50 damage thing pull up a lot, but like 30 to 40. What did I say in response to this? Yeah, Bowser's neutral B is crazy this time around, but it was already at least solid in Smash 4, whereas Dan Smash basically added a new good move to his kit. That's not an unreasonable opinion, especially at the time, but in retrospect, yeah.
Yeah, Ice Climbers were hit pretty hard. I'm gonna say their new up air is really good, but it's certainly not a trade-off for their old grab game. Although, hey, people seem to be discovering new stuff with them every day. Come back in a year and maybe they're still busted.
No, I think it's fair to say that after a year, they're still not generally 2 years. They're still not generally 3 years? Oh god, it's 2022 and this video was made in 2019.
Sheik's back air regained some of its old kill power, which is nice. It's nothing mind-blowing, and frankly, neither is Sheik, but this is definitely appreciated.
Yeah, so Sheik. She's been heavily buffed over the course of the game, and nowadays I honestly think Sheik is incredible. I think in a couple of years, she could legitimately be considered one of the best characters in the game. I know that's a bit of a hot take, but she's following that kind of arc right now. Regardless, like at the time, if you looked at sort of the more pre-patchy Sheik, it was basically just a massive list of nerfs, and one of the standout points was the fact that back air actually got some use. In Smash 4, it was pitifully weak. It's still not a very strong move, and nowadays I would easily give it to Needles because it was patched to have just all its ending leg essentially just completely removed, so it's a great combo tool now. But at the time, this was fair.
Phantom is incredible. Like, wow, this went from one of Smash 4's most useless moves to a total powerhouse that controls neutral, edge guards, kills, guards her recovery. Even if Zelda herself still isn't a top tier, that is not Phantom's fault.
Basically, all of that played out perfectly. Zelda is still not a top tier, and it is still not Phantom's fault.
We got a few options to go with for Dr. Mario, but I'm picking all the extra hit stun added to pills. You can actually kill confirm off of them, which is pretty sweet.
I know that like his down tilt is a way better combo move now, and in particular, I think Dr. Tornado would be next in line as just a way stronger kill move now, but it was already, you know, a pretty reasonable kill move, whereas his pills were basically just purely a harassment tool, and nowadays they're kind of a staple kill confirm option. Although that said, you really do see Dr. Tornado used a lot, so if you wanted to go with that, I wouldn't blame you, but personally, I think the pills are still more important.
Hey, where the hell do I even begin here? They took one of the absolute worst jokes from Melee and made it a genuine—
Oh, I know where this is going.
character in the game. Like, how? I don't think I can possibly narrow this down to a single change. Forward tilt. But
yeah, rip forward tilt. That was one of the best moves in the game before it was nerfed into the ground. At the time, this was the only option I possibly could have picked. Nowadays, with all the patches out of the way, I think probably back air is Peachy's best change in comparison to Melee.
by far my favorite change to Falco is a return to his old down air, but realistically, I do know that he's gained other edge guard and combo tools since its heyday. So we're going with up tilt, which went from really underwhelming in Smash 4 to a giant anti-air, which leads into combos forever.
I called this the best up tilt in the game last time I made my best of every Smash Ultimate Move video. Still either the best one or really high up there, and in Smash 4, it was a non-factor. You didn't use this thing. You didn't use Falco in general, but you definitely didn't use up tilt very much. His down air is still really cool, and I love that it's actually consistently used in combos even today, but definitely goes to up tilt, no contest.
Marth and Lucina are honestly basically the same in a lot of the changes they received.
Oh yeah, these guys were hard.
But they're still really strong because of how much Ultimate rewards their archetype.
Yeah, so at the time, sword fighters were considered just completely dominant. To a degree, they still are because like Joker and Pyra and Mithra are some of the best characters, but it seemed like Ultimate's base traits really rewarded sword fighters more than most other archetypes. Some of that I think was probably just because, you know, the game was new and people didn't really have everything quite locked down the same as they do now, but I think it still largely holds up because air spam is such a big deal, aerial spam is such a big deal, and sword fighters tend to have fantastic aerials.
I'm gonna go with changing Nair 1 so it creates stronger combos and the full Nair connects better when you rise with it because Nair out of shield is pretty important in this game. Yeah, it's not much, but I'm kinda grasping at straws.
So I think this still stands up for Lucina. I don't think I would choose this for him anymore. I could go with post-buff up tilt, which is, you know, kind of insane and definitely one of his better moves now. The Tipper Sweet Spot connects really consistently and it's just incredibly strong. I think I still probably should have gone with Dancing Blade, though. Like, it can be tricky to kind of space it properly and time it properly into the really powerful ending hit. But I think if we find a Marth who's kind of really consistent at doing that, it's kind of going to be the savior of Marth. That thing is not okay.
Young Link's Fire Arrow went from a terrible move that you'd never touch to a damn laser beam. The combo's into itself. And everything else, including kill moves.
So I think calling it a terrible move that you'd never touch is a little bit of a stretch. In Melee, you do see it used occasionally in like mostly edge guarding and stuff like that. But regardless, yeah, in Ultimate, it's clearly one of the best projectiles in the game.
I love Ganon in Ultimate. He's one of my most played characters, and there's a lot of stuff to pull from here, but I'm going with moving the sweet spot of Wizard's Foot to, you know, his foot. Yes, Dark Dive is an insane killing command grab. Yes, his smash attacks got even better, and they were already great in Smash 4, but a character as slow as Ganondorf really appreciates a burst movement option, and Wizard's Foot is genuinely terrifying this time around.
This one's honestly really hard. I think I'm gonna have to go with Dark Dive being turned into a kill move, though. He already had Flame Choke in those kind of corner scenarios, which could be sort of, you know, ambiguous possible kills, but making it a guaranteed kill is actually really important for his kit. It adds a lot of consistency even if your opponent is shielding, which Ganondorf can force pretty easily. It's close though. Honestly, Wizard's Foot is still a pretty reasonable option.
Mewtwo's forward tilt went from a move that was basically always outclassed by other options to a really solid attack, being a long-ranged, fast, reliable kill move that heavily benefits off of pivot canceling.
So Shadow Ball was buffed after this video was made, and nowadays I'd say no, it's easily Shadow Ball.
Double-edged dance in Smash 4 was basically useless past low percents. People fell out of it constantly, and you often got punished for landing the attack. In Ultimate, though, I don't know what they were thinking. It connects reliably and kills at the ledge at like 80%.
So Double-Edged Dance is definitely ridiculous and has only gotten more abused over time. Roy kind of felt like, I've heard it said, you know, an Ultimate character trapped in the Smash 4 engine. He went from a pretty mediocre character to like an unambiguous top tier. And most of that was just kind of generic Ultimate changes. So one of the easiest ones to pinpoint is definitely Double-Edged Dance. But having said that, I think I'm still going to go with Jab. It was one of the better jabs in Smash 4, but stopped comboing around kill percents. Whereas in Ultimate, the angle that it sends at now and the reduced knockback are way better to combo into.
Game & Watch's Oil Panic now reflects any projectiles it can absorb, and is actually one of the best reflector moves in the game, meaning that being camped out, one of his big weaknesses, is far less of an issue.
That's true, and that is an important consideration, but Uppy is one of the best moves in the game.
Meta Knight's sword is considerably longer than Smash 4's Sewing Needle, giving back a lot of his identity as a proper sword character rather than just playing Dash Attack, the video game.
That kind of came around more just from Dash Attack being nerfed though, didn't it? I guess I'm gonna have to go with Mock Tornado. I actually just talked about this in the last video. It was turned into like a kill move rather than Smash 4's essentially just useless tool. So it's like solid in edge guarding. How impactful that is to his game plan, I don't know, but his actual game plan is just kind of a nerfed version of Smash 4's. He does get bridge combos now though. What enables the bridge combos that he didn't get? Is it just air physics? Yeah, this one's weird. I'm gonna say that if there's like a single change I'm overlooking that allows him to get the bridge combos now, maybe that's just the altered up air trajectory. Although if it altered the up air trajectory, that's also responsible for ladder combos being less reliable. Okay, you know what? Let's go with Mock Tornado. This one's kind of rough though.
Hit Smash 4 Nair was basically the same as everything else he had. Fine enough, I guess, but nothing special. In Ultimate though, it was totally overhauled and is honestly an incredible move. It comes out frame 4, always sends opponents straight out, which makes it one of the single best edge guard moves in the game and leads into really nasty drag down combos.
One of the best edge guarding moves in the game. That would pan out if its hitbox was actually connected properly. Yeah, anyone who's regularly watched my content has heard me complain about Pit's neutral area at this point, but if its hitboxes were big enough to properly match the animation, and if it actually consistently connected all the hits, it would be like a top 5 neutral air in the game. With those, I'm not willing to give it that, but it's still an insane buff from Smash 4 where it, like, frankly, most of his kit was pretty underwhelming. Pit's actually gotten tons of important changes. His dash attack kills now, up tilt is a proper combo move, down tilt is a proper combo move, up air kills reliably, that's a really big one. Most of these came in balance patches throughout Ultimate's lifetime, and even with all of those in place, I'm still going to give it to neutral air. It was that important to change.
Dark Pit got all the same Nair upgrades as Pit, so I should be going with that, right? Nope, Silver Bow. My god, this move got the sauce. It's way faster and less laggy, does far more damage.
Yeah, you know what? This is all true, but as time has gone on, I've only appreciated neutral air more and more, so I would actually say that both their most important changes were neutral air. Silver Bow is still insane, though.
Zero Suit Samus got hit pretty hard coming into Ultimate, but none of that applies to Plasma Whip. Not only can you choose between sending your opponents out or hooking them in, but it's also got some of its old Brawl kill power back and is a great option for deep edge guards.
Is it still the best change that doesn't take like universal ultimate changes into account? Yeah, I think I'm going to give it to up smash instead. Up smash in Smash 4 was just a really bad move, but in Ultimate it works as a combo tool at lower percents and a kill move at higher percents. You know what? I think I might actually have to call that one a draw. Like, they both went from very bad niche moves to quite solid. I'm probably wrong on that one. One of them likely takes priority over the other, but I think it's definitely between those two.
Oh my god, there's so many things to choose from with Wario. Nair and up air are fantastic, but I feel like that's maybe veering a bit too much into the no ultimate mechanics rule.
It is.
In the intro. Chomp being a kill move that has Wario feast on the souls of his victims is really tempting, and so is his new iconic shoulder bash, which can even be confirmed into, but realistically, how can I not go with up tilt? This move was buffed to the moon.
Because it was nerfed. It's still a really good up tilt, but yeah, this one did get hit like decently hard. It lost several frames of activity. You know what though? Thinking about it more, like even with the nerfs, this move was useless in Smash 4, and it's still like one of the stronger up tilts, and it still leads into wafts. Yeah, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm still going with up tilt. Weird. It was nerfed like reasonably heavily, but it's still really good.
Nikita is the literal best edgeguard move in the game. It's PK Thunder, but more maneuverable and kills off the side.
Yeah, so Snake's actual biggest change was the jump squat universality. So going from frame, I think like 10 to frame 3 is so huge for him. But a lot of his other attributes were actually nerfed compared to Brawl, whereas Nikita was massively, massively buffed. Old Ike Nair. So obviously, this move got nerfed pretty heavily. It got way more knockback on the front-facing hitbox. The back-facing hitbox is still a really good combo move, but obviously that's way less reliable to connect. Still much better than his old neutral air, but I'm going to have to give it to Ether, especially since Ether was heavily buffed. Has great armor on it now. You see Ike's use it all the time to tank hits, and its knockback was also heavily buffed over the course of the game to now kill, like, unreasonably early. That neutral air nerf and ether buff were done in the same patch, by the way, and I think it was a really important change. Ike, as much as I like the character, was way too one-dimensional when Ultimate came out. I think what he ended up with is a much healthier version.
Diddy's dash attack went from basically useless to a pretty solid combo starter. Not the biggest change on Earth, but come on, I'm working with slim pickings here.
I think that pans out pretty well. Diddy, he did get buffed over the course of the game, but still kind of plays somewhat like a more nerfed version of his Smash 4 self, and a lot of the stuff that is different is, you know, sort of more universal Z-drop, landing leg change and stuff like that. Whereas dash attack, you didn't really use it at all in the past, and nowadays it's like not the world's absolute best dash attack, but certainly way more functional than it's ever been before.
I can't overstate how much I love the new Pokemon Switch. Back in Brawl, it was seriously painful to use, but here it rewards you for changing Pokemon by having genuine merit as a move on its own. Still wish you could double tap B to skip forward in the cycle, but otherwise, no complaints.
Yep, that still holds up. That still would be a great feature, being able to switch directly from, say, Squirtle to Charizard, but even with that in mind, that's pretty obviously their most important change, I think.
Lucas's PK freeze is ridiculous. We all know that, but it's kind of a close call for me. It's still a bit of a niche move that isn't gonna...
Okay, I didn't go with it. Good.
But come on, how can I not choose it?
Wait, I did choose it.
Sideways now in a game with weak air dodgers. And
no.
If you hit by the thing off stage, you're basically guaranteed to die.
Yeah, if you're hit by the thing off stage, you are basically guaranteed to die, but as more and more time's gone on, it's become more and more obvious that Lucas players are not able to consistently hit it off stage. Not that it never happens, but generally speaking, you're way better off trying to line up your up B, or more particularly go for a down smash or forward tilt, which is the one I think I'd actually go with. I think at the time I literally just did not know that this was a good move, but yeah, it's one of the best forward tilts in the game, easily.
And here I was thinking Sonic would be less annoying this time. Then they go give homing attack 1,000 years of charge time and the ability to combo.
How significant were the changes between Smash 4 forward smash and Ultimate forward smash? Because like in Ultimate, it's comically like memishly big, but even in Smash 4, it was a very large, very good forward smash. You know, I think I'd still give it to homing attack. Going from mediocre to much less mediocre is kind of a bigger jump from good to even better. I'm not 100% confident in that one, but okay, let's go with homing attack.
DDD has a lot of changes to work with. His Gordo stick is far more consistent. Forward smash works as a shield breaker, down tilt, spline. Spot was... Sorry, what was I talking about?
right answer, but let's give an actual serious answer now. I think I definitely got to go with the changes to Inhale. The fact that he can absorb not only his own Gordos, but also other projectiles and spit them back at his opponent, that means that A, his design is way more entertaining, and B, it makes it way harder to projectile camp him, which is a major weakness from the past.
Olimar's aerials have normal priority now instead of being eaten through like projectiles, meaning you can't just swat him out of the air for free, and making this an obvious choice. Is what I would say if Up Smash didn't exist. Sakurai, what the f-
Up Smash, right, yeah. Up Smash got nerfed. Yeah, okay, I looked it up. It did get a little bit more lag added to it in a patch, but you can still easily see those Up Smash ladders done, and the damage output is still just ridiculous. It's still a reasonably safe option. You see it used more often than his aerials, even if the priority on the aerials was a big change. Olimar's obviously another of the characters that I don't know as much about, but based on my knowledge of him, I'm still gonna give it to Up Smash.
Lucario's aura has been normalized to a certain degree. No, don't get me wrong, he's still insanely scary at high percents, but no longer needs to hit those percents to actually play like a real character.
Yeah, I think this one holds up, and it's also important because Lucario dies much easier in Ultimate compared to Smash 4. Edge guarding is more of a thing, and he's a much lighter character, so having normalized aura is actually really important.
Rob's arm rotor was pretty awful in previous games, but in Ultimate it's a staple of his playstyle that can be confirmed into and steal stocks ridiculously early. Ridiculously early.
Arm rotor was definitely a very big deal. That move went from incredibly inconsistent in Smash 4 to incredibly consistent in Ultimate, and it does see tons of use in combos and kill confirms.
Okay, look, Toon Link really wasn't changed that much from Smash 4, and a lot of the changes he did get were more trade-offs than straight improvements, but I'll focus on his back air and his new combo potential. Now, keep in mind, this does make it worse at killing and edge guarding, so it's a subtle buff, but I do think it's a buff.
Yeah, I think that's turned out to be pretty true. Toon Link has a pretty good back air. He's really is sort of one of the more untouched veterans from that far in the past, though.
And in the exact opposite direction, not a damn thing was subtle about Wolf's changes. He's a radically different character compared to Brawl, and a badass one at that. There are honestly so many things you could put on this list, and I'd have a hard time arguing, but me personally, I'm gonna go with his new Nair. His old one wasn't terrible, but it was definitely outclassed by his other moves, where in Ultimate it's a centerpiece of his playstyle.
I like Wolf's Nair change. It does get used a lot by Wolf players, but I think his forward air was more important. Like, forward air didn't really do all that much in Brawl, whereas in Smash Ultimate it's obviously an incredibly common neutral tool, combo tool.
Villager's down air always spikes no matter how many turnips appear, meaning that his already amazing edge guarding is even more reliable.
It's not really that impactful though. Villager is kind of an edge guarding, ledge trapping character, that's true, but like, wouldn't you often kind of rather plant tree or use dash attack? Dash attack was actually made way faster. Yeah, this one's kind of tough because Villager was honestly one of the least changed characters. He was just kind of transplanted mostly intact from Smash 4 into Ultimate, but his turn-ups, them not spiking, I think matters less than the ability to use dash attack significantly faster, because he does use it a decent amount.
Mega Man's Leaf Shield got so batshit insane in Ultimate that they had to nerf it, and it's still batshit insane. Seriously, someone please teach me how to deal with this thing without having a stroke.
If you didn't want to go with that, I would say forward air, which actually became a proper kill move, but at the end of the day, Leaf Shield was very rarely used in Smash 4, it didn't have much of a purpose, and in Ultimate, even though it's a long way back from its absolute peak, it gets used so much more often.
Deep breathing is, pretty good.
Deep breathing is pretty good.
We're gonna cheat a bit with Rosalina because her attack cancel options are just too cool not to mention. This is a new technique in Ultimate, and while all characters can benefit from it, Rosalina and Luma can do some really crazy things, and I'm looking forward to seeing how their meta develops now that the tech's out in the open.
I think some of this stuff has sort of started getting put into practice now. I don't know how much of it actually still works. I feel like I might have even heard something about some of these options being removed from Rosalina in a patch. I'm not 100% sure on that though. I'm sure I've seen like some of the simpler stuff used relatively recently in VODs. In any case, let's kind of do the same thing with DDD and pick a proper one. I think I'm going to go with the reduced respawn timer for Luma. Some of that is definitely in compensation for the fact that Luma gets launched considerably easier now, but the thing is, over the course of the game, that's been patched to be a bit less of an issue, whereas the respawn timer has not been nerfed in response, which is obviously a pretty big deal for a puppet character who can only really play the game when her puppet is in place.
Little Mac's recovery is better now that he can act after side B. happy, which makes Mac mains happy, but not so much better that I'm gonna start running into Mac mains in bracket, which makes me happy.
This is an interesting one. I think I'm still gonna go with it, but I say it's interesting because it's not enough to make his recovery not one of the worst in the game still. And on top of that, in some ways it was actually a nerf because if you get hit after using side B, you don't get side B back, which is a pretty big deal. And if you look at stuff like being able to cancel neutral special, that actually gets used all the time by Little Mac. His forward smash after the buffs is a ridiculous shield pressure tool. I think his recovery is still so fundamentally awful that any help he can get there is still enough of a benefit, and Little Mac mains can be surprisingly slippery to try and edge guard, but it's not as close as I initially expected this one to be.
Greninja's dash attack is actually insane in Ultimate. Everyone expected this character's combo game to be butchered because of the changes to footstool mechanics, but if anything it seems better, and dash attack is a huge part of that.
Yeah, so not better in terms of peak performance. Greninja footstool combos, if you perform them optimally, still did more than anything the character can do now, but certainly in an average use case because of how finicky they were to perform, I'd definitely say his overall combo game has gone up, and dash attack is a huge contributor to that.
Mii Brawler got suplex as a new special move, and a command grab is obviously something an in-your-face rushdown character is going to be very interested in. It's not a kill move, but the damage output is really good.
So at this point, I'd say the two options that Mii Brawlers tend to choose between for side special are burning drop kick and suplex. Suplex, having that option is still really powerful because I think it's probably the most common side special to use, so I'd still give it to it.
Who decided this was okay and why are they still employed at Nintendo?
So that is actually nowhere near as busted as it kind of seemed earlier on in the game's life. Players have gotten way better at playing around Gale Strike, and also the up B there, the hero spin. Funny enough, it basically just doesn't really seem to be used anymore. Essentially all Mii Sword Fighter players have come to the decision that, Skyward Sword Strike, the sort of Firefox-ish one, is the one to use. That's because you can still combo Gale Strike into up air for a kill while having a much more reliable recovery. Obviously that's not a universal rule, none of the Mii's have universal movesets, but that seems to be the general consensus. In any case though, I was talking about Gale Strike, and yes, I would give it to Mii Sword Fighter, but that said, it's still a move that's fallen off hard after some initial interest, which basically describes Mii Sword Fighter in general.
Mii Gunner's neutral air has gotten way better and gives off some serious Cloud vibes. Yeah, I know her zoning tools got stronger as well, but she was already pretty good there. Getting some close quarters help was a big deal.
Yeah, I think that logic still mostly tracks. I think this has panned out to be probably her most substantial melee move change.
Palutena had Explosive Flame folded into her core moveset, and it's a really dangerous and obnoxious move.
Yeah, so Palutena, she's another one of these characters that got really improved just because of the universal landing leg changes. That means that there's honestly not really that much you can choose from if you're taking away those universal options. I think the other probably most substantial one would be a killing back throw. It kills more reliably, but in Smash 4, it was a kill throw, it just wasn't a very good one.
Smash 4 Pac-Man 100.
Yep, it's Pac-Man's grab.
Robin's Elwind goes much further, can be angled, and gives a small boost even if the Wind Tome is used up. A lot of their other special moves were overhauled as well, but with how harsh Ultimate's offstage game is, the ability to mix up your recovery is pretty vital, and they basically just could not do this before.
Yeah, that definitely matters, but honestly, the offstage game isn't nearly as harsh as I kind of initially expected at that point. I'm actually going to give it to Arcfire, because Arcfire kind of took over Arc Thunder's role as the combo projectile, and it does some great stuff now, whereas in Smash 4, it was just kind of a basic launch projectile. Not a bad move, but nowhere near as effective.
Shulk not only got a slick new wheel to choose his Monado art, but he can also, change arts during hit stun?
So yes, it is Monado arts. As a heads up, I got this wrong, as it turns out. In Smash 4, he could technically change Monado arts and hit stun as well. It's just because of how slow they were, it wasn't really a practical option to do so. Funny how a simple interface change like the wheel can change that move though, because now it's common knowledge that he can do this, and it's literally one of the best moves in the entire game. Not even just best neutral specials in the entire game, best moves in the entire game, period.
Bowser Jr. actually has two hurt boxes, the body and the cart. The body takes extra damage, the cart takes less. But what if both get hit at the same time? Well, in Smash 4, this counted as a body hit, and this happened constantly, so Bowser Jr. was taking more damage throughout a match than he was supposed to. This was actually swapped in Ultimate. The cart is now the one prioritized, meaning that throughout a set, Bowser Jr. is taking less damage than the rest of the roster.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to that one just because it's way more pervasive throughout a match. Like, Cannonball got some decent buffs to it, but Cannonball still doesn't tend to be a move that comes up that often.
Duck Hunt's clay shooting now works as a reliable combo move, admittedly less reliable than before the nerf, but still a huge buff to his damage damage output.
Yeah, this was a massive change to the character, and Duck Hunt isn't really someone who gets talked about like at all right now, but there's still a character that I honestly think has a ton of potential to sort of pop up and do more stuff. That's basically exactly what happened with them in Smash 4. They were considered like a complete nothing of a character until Raito came along and just kind of said like, yeah, no, pay attention to Duck Hunt, and something like that could easily happen again. I think the character's got tons of good tools.
Ryu can cancel normals directly into special moves, creating a lot of new combo opportunities and continuing Sakurai's crusade to straight up just let us play Street Fighter in Smash.
So this is a tight call between that special cancel option and the fact that Ryu's projectiles were massively buffed over the course of the game. But I think at the end of the day, I'm still going to have to give it to special canceling. Even with his limited mobility, all of his weaknesses built in to try and compensate for special canceling, it's still just insanely powerful.
Cloud was mostly nerfed in Ultimate, but Blade Beam is considerably less leggy and actually does a pretty good job as a general purpose projectile now.
Interesting. Cloud obviously got a lot of nerfs. A lot of the good things that happened to him were more universal landing leg changes, but one move that I think got more of a benefit than Blade Beam is up smash. So Blade Beam definitely sees a lot more use than it did before it got its leg reduced, but the thing is, it's still a reasonably low impact projectile, whereas up smash, again, sees a lot more use. It's way faster and kills earlier, which makes it a lot more of a decisive factor.
Corrin's Dragon Lunge can be cancelled manually, which totally makes up for nerfing the hell out of every single cool thing she had to make her stand out from the 30 other Fire Emblem lords.
Pin as a whole is still a worse move than it is in Smash 4, so I don't really love cherry-picking little bits and pieces of kits like that, but I mean, Corrin is basically just an almost straight nerfed version of Smash 4 Corrin and not much else, so it's what I'm working with, and it was a good change.
And this is where I'd put a good Bayonetta change.
If I had one!
Okay, same rule of funny as I did with DDD. Actual answer for this one. Bayonetta has a killing jab now. As a character who was really deliberately designed to have a lot of trouble killing, that's a big deal. Alright, and that'll do it. Thanks for watching, everyone, and let me know what you thought of this format. YouTube uses likes and comments on a video to decide how much to spread it around to more people, so if you think this video deserved it, much appreciated. Top 10 worst moves that used to be great above, 100k AMA on my main channel below, and patrons, YouTube members, and Twitch subs get stuff like early videos and access to my Discord server. Later, people.